Welcome to Dark Threads, where secrets come to light. I bet you didn't know about the Great Reset. We're talking about the Great Reset. And no, it's not a new washing machine. This is some serious stuff coming from Davos, Switzerland, where the World Economic Forum meets every year. It's where important people from around the world get together to, well, that's up for debate. Anyway, back in 2020, during all the pandemic craziness, the forum decided it was time for a reset. A chance to rebuild the world after COVID, but not just rebuild, reimagine. Sounds pretty good, right? Like hitting the restart button on the whole planet. But here's the thing, it's not that easy. This isn't like rebuilding after a big storm. This is about changing how the world works, from who's in charge to how we get our food. Get ready, because we're about to explore the strange and maybe a little scary world of the Great Reset. So, the Great Reset is all about stakeholder capitalism. Sounds complicated, right? Like something you'd hear on a boring business show. Here's the idea. Instead of companies just trying to make money for their owners, they should also think about everyone else involved. Who's everyone else? Oh, just everyone, workers, customers, the people who sell them stuff, the community, the environment. You get the idea. Everyone gets a say, at least in theory. Sounds perfect, almost too good to be true. But here's the confusing part. Who decides who gets a say? Who's important and who gets ignored? And most importantly, who makes the final decision when people disagree? Nobody seems to have clear answers to these questions. This is where things get really interesting or really scary, depending on how you look at it. See, the Great Reset isn't just about this vague idea of stakeholder capitalism. It's about shifting power away from our governments and towards, well, that's the big question, isn't it? Some people say it's about giving more power to groups like the UN or the World Health Organization. Others say it's about giving big companies more control. And some even think it's about creating a new group of powerful people who weren't elected by anyone. The truth? It's probably a little bit of everything. It's not clear who's really in charge. The people involved are very powerful. And the lack of openness is, honestly, kind of worrying. Okay, enough big ideas. Let's look at some real examples. Remember stakeholder capitalism? Well, it's already happening, and the results are interesting, to say the least. Take food, for example. The World Economic Forum is working with companies like Nestle and PepsiCo to make farming more sustainable. Sounds good, right? Everyone likes healthy food. But some people say these projects aren't really about saving the planet. They're about big companies controlling our food. Then there's controlling what we see online. Remember all the talk about online censorship and stopping fake news? Well, guess who's leading those conversations? You guessed it, the World Economic Forum, working with companies like Facebook and Google. And don't forget about vaccines. During the pandemic, the forum worked with drug companies and governments to send vaccines around the world. A good goal, sure, but it also made people worry about companies influencing health decisions. See a pattern here? From the food we eat to the news we read to the healthcare we get, the Great Reset is slowly changing our world. And the question is, are we happy with where it's taking us? Because once this reset button is pressed, we can't undo it. So there you have it. The Great Reset, a complicated, confusing, and maybe concerning plan to change the world as we know it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need a break, and maybe a tinfoil hat, just in case. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.